Do you have a nickname?
Goldie.
Well, the reason for that's your teeth.
How does it feel to stomp somebody on the head?
It feels like kicking a soccer ball.
You've just heard it. The casual cruelty of a man whose name became a warning across Victoria's underworld. Rodney Goldie Atkinson wasn't just violent, he was proud of it. With a long criminal history, a reputation for merciless beatdowns, and a presence that even seasoned enforcers steered clear of, Goldie carved out his name not through drugs, money, or territory, but through pain. He was a one-man storm, tied to stabbings, bashings, and brawls that left bodies broken and reputations destroyed. But behind that grin was a man forged by chaos, raised hard, living harder, and destined for the kind of notoriety few survive. This is the story of Rodney Goldie Atkinson, a man who made violence his brand and fear his calling card. From brutal prison riots to street wars in Melbourne's shadowy corners, Goldie didn't just live the life, he defined it. And in the end, even the walls couldn't hold him. Rodney Goldie Atkinson wasn't always a feared underworld enforcer. Long before the Brothers for Life tattoos and media headlines branding him Sydney's most violent man, Goldie was just another coastal kid from Newcastle. He surfed the beaches, laughed with mates, grew up in what he described as a pretty normal Aussie family. But at 15, everything changed. His father, the family's cornerstone, suffered a fall while abseiling. The accident left him in a vegetative state. Doctors gave the family a grim choice. And so, with the weight of that decision bearing down, Rodney told his mother to pull the plug. The man he looked up to was gone, and something in Goldie broke. The trauma opened the door to darker habits. Drugs numbed the pain. Crime replaced structure. He started small, petty theft, minor charges, but the adrenaline rush that came with each hit quickly faded, replaced by numbness. Desensitized, he later called it. The boundaries blurred. Right and wrong became irrelevant. At just 17, he landed in prison for the first time, caught with cannabis. That short stint turned into a revolving door, in and out, charge after charge. Each time, his violence grew more brazen, and with his 6 feet 6 inches frame, covered in ink and crowned with gold teeth, Goldie stood out in every cell block. He became a natural enforcer, and people noticed. One of those people was Bassem Hamzy. Hamzy, a convicted murderer and the founder of the notorious Brothers for Life gang, was serving a life sentence in solitary confinement at Goulburn's Supermax. Despite being behind bars, his influence never faded. In 2006, while both men were in segregation, Goldie and Hamzy began exchanging letters, scribbled notes passed under cell doors, attached to lines made from threads and toothbrush handles. They spoke about everything: faith, prison life, what came next. Raised Christian, Goldie converted to Islam during these years, seeking both peace and belonging. But it was more than spiritual, it was strategic. The Brothers for Life were predominantly Middle Eastern, and Goldie, the outsider, was carving his place inside. Hamzy saw potential, not just in Goldie's size or aggression, but in his loyalty. If Goldie considered you a brother, he'd go to war for you. That was the kind of soldier Hamzy needed. So, when Goldie walked out of prison again, tattooed, disciplined, and looking for purpose, he didn't walk out alone. He walked out with orders. From this point on, Goldie wasn't just another ex-con trying to keep clean. He was the hammer in Hamzy's hand. The Brothers for Life had their enforcer. By the late 2000s, Rodney Goldie Atkinson wasn't just known in prison yards, he was feared on the streets. He'd become the go-to enforcer for Brothers for Life, a gang that redefined organized crime in Sydney. While Bassem Hamzy ran operations from inside his cell using smuggled phones and coded messages, Goldie was the one executing orders on the outside, and he didn't hesitate. Police would later reveal that Hamzy, using a contraband phone smuggled into his cell at Lithgow Prison, was making over 460 calls a day. Over 6 weeks, 19,000 calls were recorded. On many of them, Goldie's name came up, and not in passing. He was in the middle of it, not just moving drugs or collecting debts, but handling problems, the kind that bled. In one intercepted call from June 2008, Hamzy ordered a brutal intimidation of a drug dealer who owed money. He told Goldie to put something in the man's mouth so he couldn't scream. Then, calmly, he added that the man was lucky not to get a bullet in the head. Goldie's response? "I've got blood everywhere, mate." Police believed a murder was imminent. They stormed the location before it escalated further. The man survived. Goldie denied doing anything violent. He claimed he was only playing along with Hamzy on the phone, humoring him. Whatever the truth was, he slipped through the legal cracks. That time. But the pattern was clear. Goldie wasn't just muscle. He was a weapon, deployed wherever fear needed to be instilled. In 2009, things escalated again. Police believed Goldie was involved in a plot to kill drug dealer John McCriss as retaliation for the shooting of Fadi Ibrahim, who had survived being hit 5 times in the stomach. Goldie was allegedly hired to take out Macris in a revenge attack, and the evidence stacked up fast. On September 29, 2009, police raided Goldie's home. What they found was damning. Hidden in kitchen cupboards and bags were a .22 caliber pistol, a .45 caliber pistol, a bulletproof vest, photos of John Macris and his license plates, a police badge, a Ruger rifle with a silencer, heroin, steroids. Goldie's explanation? He wasn't planning to kill Macris, just grab him and take his drugs and money. Police didn't buy it. But while the conspiracy to murder charge didn't stick, the gun and drug charges did. He was sentenced to 14 years in prison for possession of illegal firearms and drugs. Once again, the enforcer was back behind bars. This time, the system was determined to keep him there. But the violence didn't stop just because the cell door closed. Goldie's most infamous act was still to come, and it would be caught on camera for the world to see. By 2012, Rodney Goldie Atkinson had already built a reputation as one of Australia's most violent enforcers. But what happened in a holding cell at Goulburn Jail that September would elevate his name to infamy. Tony Halloun, a former concreter, had just been charged with the murder of 65-year-old grandmother Shauna Kidman. According to court documents, Halloun had bludgeoned the elderly woman to death during a robbery gone wrong, all for a measly $3,000. When Goldie overheard Halloun allegedly bragging about the murder inside prison, he snapped. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about power. It was about what Halloun had done, and who he'd done it to. In the hierarchy of prison ethics, those who hurt the elderly, children, or the vulnerable are marked. Goldie took that code seriously. The result was a brutal and sustained assault, captured by CCTV and later leaked to the public. The footage shows Goldie punching, kicking, and stomping Halloun into unconsciousness. The injuries were devastating. Halloun suffered broken eye sockets, a fractured jaw, and required full reconstructive surgery. When asked later in a televised interview how it felt to stomp someone on the head, Goldie answered with chilling nonchalance, "It feels like kicking a saw wall." He didn't flinch, didn't regret it. In fact, when pressed further about the attack, Goldie admitted, "Would I do it again? Yep, I just think it should be done." He wasn't trying to justify it as self-defense. He didn't deny what he did. His logic was simple. Halloun had killed a defenseless woman for next to nothing. Goldie saw it as justice, the kind delivered behind bars. The prison system responded swiftly. He was charged with assault and transferred to solitary confinement. Not for the first time, and not the last. Over the course of his incarceration, Goldie would spend 3 years in segregation, including time in Supermax at Goulburn. Even among high-risk prisoners, he was treated as a special case, dangerous, volatile, and capable of extreme violence without provocation. But while his fists made headlines, something else was happening in the background. Goldie was changing, or trying to. In 2012, while still inside, he married his partner Amanda Swan in an Islamic ceremony conducted by convicted terrorist Fahim Khalid Lodi. It was a controversial union, not just for the players involved, but because it signaled a shift in Goldie's self-image. He wasn't just the enforcer anymore. He wanted to be seen as a man, a husband, eventually, a father. But the system doesn't forget. And for Goldie, the outside world was still a long way off. On February 25, 2015, after serving 6 years in prison, Rodney Goldie Atkinson was released on parole. It should have been a turning point, a chance to finally break free from the violence, from the gang ties, from the cell doors that had become more familiar than his own front door. But if prison had changed Goldie, the outside world had changed even more, and not in ways he was ready for. He was a different man, at least on the surface. He talked about his daughter Mia as the center of his life now. He wanted to be a father she could look up to. The gold teeth and tattoos, he said he wanted them gone. Not because of shame, but because he didn't want Mia growing up thinking that was something to admire. In public interviews, he spoke openly about panic attacks. Just walking into a shopping center triggered cold sweats and dizziness. The sound of iPhones, the brightness of shops, it was all foreign. 18 years behind bars, he said, left me wrecked. To stay clean, he poured his energy into fitness. He launched a health food business, Mass Nutrition, and a cosmetic clinic, Timeless Laser Clinics, offering everything from Botox to tattoo removal. He even tried removing some of his own ink, a literal attempt to erase the past. He also turned back to a passion he'd never fully let go of, MMA fighting. Goldie had size, power, and discipline. He won a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu title in Newcastle, trained hard, and began chasing a dream to become a professional fighter. He didn't just want to hit people. He wanted to control the part of him that used to hit without thinking. But the system had other ideas. His past was too loud, too visible. The New South Wales Combat Sports Authority banned him from fighting professionally, citing his extensive criminal history and links to Brothers for Life. Opponents pulled out of matches once they learned who he was. Goldie was frustrated. He told journalists he was trying to live straight, but no one wanted to let him. "I've done my time," he said. "Now I just want to be a dad." But behind the scenes, the cracks were already forming. He was still on parole, still under scrutiny, and still wrestling with the same demons that had haunted him since he was 15. By early 2017, the life he'd tried to build began falling apart. He was using again OxyContin, heroin, cocaine, amphetamines, the toxic cocktail that had buried him once before. In April, he was found unresponsive at Wyong Hospital, discharged from rehab soon after. The parole board took notice, and just like that, the door slammed shut again. Goldie was going back to prison. By mid-2017, Rodney Goldie Atkinson was no longer just struggling. He was spiraling. On January 27, 2017, he was charged with 2 counts of possessing unauthorized firearms. Just 4 days later, a routine swab test came back lit up with opiates, cocaine, and amphetamines. Then came the overdose. 10 OxyContin mixed with heroin, landing him unconscious in Wyong Hospital's emergency ward. He was discharged from rehab on April 4th, but the damage was already done. Goldie's parole, the fragile bridge back to freedom, was officially revoked on May 17th. The state parole authority said he had violated conditions by using drugs, failing to follow parole officer instructions, and possessing firearms, all while trying to rebrand himself as a fitness entrepreneur and family man. Authorities now considered him a public risk. But the final blow came in December of that year, not in a hospital or rehab center, but in Canley Vale, during one of the most aggressive gang raids New South Wales had ever launched. Strike Force Raptor, the elite gang-busting squad born from the merger of the Middle Eastern Crime Squad and the Gang Squad, rolled out in force across Sydney. In a 5-day operation, 46 people were arrested on more than 117 charges. Goldie was one of them. When police raided the property, they found him alongside 2 others, a 23-year-old woman with outstanding warrants and another 37-year-old man. In Goldie's possession, steroids, a firearm, and multiple prohibited drugs. That led to 5 counts of possessing a prohibited drug, a charge of breaching a firearm prohibition order, a revocation of parole warrant. He was refused bail and scheduled to appear in Liverpool court. Police also found 11 firearms, 300 rounds of ammunition, 20 prohibited weapons, including tasers and knives, $47,000 in cash, 2 unregistered reptiles, including a python, 20 kilograms of ephedrine, a precursor used in manufacturing meth. The message from authorities was clear. This was no longer about any single gang. The new criminal group squad had dissolved the old boundaries. You didn't need to wear a patch or pledge allegiance to be on their radar. You just needed to pose a threat to public safety. Chief Superintendent Stuart Smith didn't mince words. If you're involved in firearms or violence, expect to see us. This is just the beginning. Goldie, once again, was their poster boy, front and center of another media storm. And while he sat behind bars, charged and broken, the last of the Brothers for Life gang was being dismantled around him. Hamzy's empire was crumbling. His so-called brothers were flipping. And the enforcer they once relied on was no longer a force, just a reminder of what once was. But prison wasn't done with him yet. By 2018, Rodney Goldie Atkinson was back where he'd spent most of his adult life, a prison cell. Any illusions of reinvention, the MMA career, the clinics, the fatherhood dreams, had collapsed under the weight of relapse, firearms, and old patterns. And prison hadn't dulled his violence. If anything, it reminded everyone exactly who he still was. In January 2018, Goldie was accused of yet another brutal assault, this time inside Silverwater Jail. The victim, a younger inmate, beaten so severely he had to be hospitalized. No weapons, just fists and fury. The kind of attack Goldie had become synonymous with. It was the same cycle, again and again. Media reports still referred to him as Sydney's most feared enforcer, a towering 6 feet 6 inches figure with gold teeth, prison ink, and a stare that unsettled even hardened criminals. But those closest to him painted a different, more conflicted picture. His partner, Amanda Swan, had once described him as shy, even gentle. She said he was terrified to meet her. They'd lived a surreal life together, from luxury hotels with room service to massage sessions at 5-star resorts, all while the police circled outside, preparing to bring it crashing down. And then there was Mia, his daughter. The one person who truly made Goldie question the path he was on. In interviews, he made it clear. He didn't want her growing up thinking her dad's lifestyle was something to look up to. "I don't want my daughter thinking gold teeth and tattoos are appealing," he said. But wanting to change and being able to change are two very different things. especially when your name is tied to Brothers for Life, a gang that left a trail of bullets, bashings, and blood across Sydney. The gang itself was in ruins. Its members had turned on each other. Its founder, Bassem Hamzy, was still locked up, but stripped of power.